Hello everyone, my name is Zeotrex, and today we're taking a look at Ironheart, the latest MCU show, in officially ending off Phase 5. I don't know what else to really introduce. Ironheart is about Riri Williams, who after getting kicked out of MIT, joins a gang to fund her research in her iron suit, their leader having mystical powers given by a Red Hood. Like, just a normal Red Hood. Jason Todd's not in this story. Okay, now Ironheart, this was a show that I honestly didn't really look forward to. Also, sorry if like this camera angle is like really wonky. I'm trying something new. I think maybe I'll just go back to how I had it before. It's just I have a cramped desk. Okay. Now, Ironheart was a show that I just didn't really look forward to. It was just whatever. I didn't care for her in Wakanda Forever, and I just wasn't interested in the show, but I still gave it a chance because, I could be wrong. And there was one thing I knew for sure about this show, and that I'm right about, that I am indeed correct about, is it was gonna have awful discourse. The discourse around this show was gonna be fucking horrendous. So you're gonna have the side of people who overhype it, who get way too excited about it, who think it's the best thing since Avengers Endgame. When in reality it would just be sort of a mid project, the MCU glazers, right? But that's not as bad as the other side, which has been the predominant I need a drink, hold on. Predominant uh side talking in this film, not film, side the the dominant side talking about this is the anti-woke crowd, the anti-woke grifters who had their opinion locked and loaded from the minute that we got promotional material about it. And so here's what I will be doing. I will be judging this show off of what it does. Its writing, its like visual style, how well does it treat the characters, the story, like what did I think of the actual show. I will not be criticizing the fact that Riri Williams is a black woman, not the fact that they are shoving politics down our throat. None of this useless bullshit that has been ruining film discourse. There's been so much awful bigoted hate towards this show, and it's not even being hidden. Losers like Neurotic crying about this being a black centered show, and these people on Twitter just being like blatantly fucking racist about it. Like they're trying to pull that Ironheart, that Riri Williams is Riri Williams bullshit, when they don't even realize that she's not even supposed to be Iron Man. Her name is literally Ironheart, which they never really call her that in the MCU, by the way, which is strange. But either way, that's just how the discourse has been going. It's horrible, and I will talk about that a lot more later. And sort of, I went off about it in my Marvels rant. And so I'm gonna kind of go into that again. But so like, how was the show? What did I think of it? What like did I think it was all right? This is like the most middle of the road MCU show. I watched it, and there were times where I was like, ooh. Um, I am walking away. I walked away from this show not really having that strong of opinion. The show didn't wow me like say like Loki did. Uh, but it didn't get me like fuming mad. Like what the fuck are we doing? Like Secret Invasion or She-Hulk. You know, it is like the most safe ass show imaginable, and that's all I can really say. Surprisingly, here's what I like. Surprisingly, for like a show like this, it does look really good. It has this nice visual style and cinematography. There's like red and orange hues kind of lining it up. It looks it kind of reminded me of Netflix's Daredevil. While Netflix's Daredevil looked a lot better, what they were attempting to do with like the lighting and the tone, yeah, definitely worked. It still looks like an MCU show, but you could tell there was that effort. Um, and it doesn't suffer from that cheap look that, say, like She-Hulk suffered from. Now, the suit, the Riri Williams has a few suits in this, or her main one being this sort of scrap suit. I think that's great. Who's messaging me? That is a great suit. Um, because it's practical. And, after constant like nanotech in films where like even Iron Man later in his suit career he got that shut the fuck up, dude. Um Even Iron Man later on he kind of went over to nanotech. Um I'm just glad that we have like a suit that can retract, and this another thing that this show does is kind of itch that Iron Man thing. And what I do also like about it is that it doesn't try to set Riri up as like the next Iron Man, It's someone who wants to be like him, but she wants to do her own thing, and I do like that because Riri Williams isn't supposed to replace Iron Man. And in fact, I'm just gonna say this right now, I don't think Iron Man needs a replacement in the MCU because yeah, I mean, I don't really think of Iron Man as like a mantle, mainly just because I don't know who the fuck else would take the mantle. Either way, I'm glad that we got that. The suit itself does look really good. It's a good design. I think it's practical, but even then, the CGI, if it's CGI, it's pretty damn good CGI. Uh, and again, it was just kind of itching that Iron Man thing that we've been missing since he died in the MCU, and that's kind of things like the head camera thing. God, I miss that so much. And the villain, Parker Robbins, or the Hood, played by Anthony Ramos, who I know from Transformers. He's a pretty alright villain, it's cool to get this character in the MCU, the Hood. Let me look him up actually. The Hood Marvel. It's just cool to see that character. I don't know that much about him. Oh, what the fuck, Ghost Rider? Okay, but like, um, it's just cool to get him. Honestly, he's a crime lord with a cloak and dagger. uh, yeah, that's all I really have to say. I think he does a good job at being intimidating. Um, my okay, now let's get into my issues with the show, which which aren't that much. It's so weird. I don't have much positive to say. I mean, I just praised things, and I don't really have much negative things to say. This is such like a strange way to discuss this. My issue with the show is its length, and I voiced it out loud. I am tired of the 6 episode bullshit that Marvel does. Because, okay, it's worse. It's worse here. It's so much worse here because of how Marvel has been releasing this show. As you may know, Marvel released this show, um, 3 episodes at a time. So the show's over. The show premiered last week. It's now over. That's not cool. That that's how you kill a show. And that's why I prefer the week by week method, because it keeps interest in the show alive. Whereas like Echo, that thing died off within a month because it dropped all the episodes there. And this show, watch, by next week we're not even going to be talking about it no more. Whereas like something like Daredevil Born Again, week by week we were discussing the theories about what could happen in each episode. And while I had my issues with that show's pacing as well, mainly because of how it was handled in like the older show, I think that the 9 episodes, while not still not ideal, I think the minimum should be like 13 episodes. That did give it a lot more time to breathe, but again, that show definitely had some issues. Here, though, it all feels pretty rushed, in my opinion. Character arcs just don't feel as satisfying when you're watching it all play out in what should be like a week by week thing, but no. And it's just these shows have become so predictable that like even like the big finale of the show wasn't like satisfying. I wouldn't say not satisfying, but I mean it was predictable. It was anticlimactic. The fight between Riri and the Hood, that was I mean I know that's not the point of that final episode. The main point of that final episode was Riri and excuse my dogs. Hey, was Riri and this cameo character who I will talk about. I do think that should be, but the way that Marvel's been kind of acting towards this show, I think they just wanted to get it out. I've kind of been thinking about it. 2025. I will be right back. As I was saying, 2025 seems to really be the year that Marvel is kind of like, if you're looking at their release lineup this year, it's a lot of like get it out there projects, kind of projects that we've known, like Fantastic Four, for example. We've known, when was that revealed? 2019. I think that was revealed in 2019, and now we're finally getting it. And you know, I understand film takes, and there been hurdles since like that announcement, like COVID and the strike, which I'll get to here in a minute and kind of discuss that. But the just like Ironheart seems to be one of those shows that they just wanted to get the hell out. Like they just and here's the thing. I understand it though. The show did take years to be like made, because it was announced in like I'd say 2021 to 2022. It started production after Wakanda Forever, so I'd say 2022, 2023. Then the strike happened. A lot of people, bigots and grifters, um try using this as like their argument of like, not even Marvel wants this show. They were sitting on it. No, they weren't. The show was just being made. There was a strike that put a lot of things on hold. That's why a lot of projects this year shifted around and when they were going to release. Um so yeah, that's like the show had a delay because of something that also affected other things. That's why like a lot of things, it like Wednesday season 2. I always feel like there's just a gap between 2022 and 2023, and that's because like we probably could have gotten that we probably could have gotten that a lot sooner if it wasn't for the strike. That does, yeah. It's understandable why Marvel would have this attitude. They didn't really market it before, and this is kind of where I'm putting on my conspiracy hat. They released that trailer the same day as the Superman trailer. Dog! Dog! Like the actual like Superman trailer, not the Superman teaser, Superman trailer, a month before it releases. That really harmed the show, in my opinion. And I don't know. There's not much to really talk about this show that isn't just naming story beats or other things. I thought the story was alright. And Riri, I still don't really care for her after this. I'm not gonna lie. It's just, this show again is so overreacted. This is one of the most like the way that people will like talk about this show makes it seem like it's like fan stick levels of bad, when it's like, dog, the worst it does at times is just be predictable and kind of underwhelming. Super, like again, there's that cameo character at the end, that surprise cameo when it wasn't really a surprise. It's cool to see that character in the MCU, but not much excitement can be had about it. Like they open the door now that that character's here, and the show does end on a cliffhanger. But like say like the post credit scene, it's hard to really get like excited for that kind of stuff when I don't really feel anything to it. And this is, let's just get into it. So again, the major issue surrounding this show was the unnecessary hate towards it. It is straight up racism at this point, and it's not even being hidden. And I hate that this is the discourse that we have to have about anything that fucking comes out now. Hell, Fantastic Four is, that has the woke controversy all over it because Sue's gonna be a leader. Hey, buddy, pick up a fucking comic book. I have the Hickman. Fantastic Four over there, but they're out of walking range. Fuck it. You know, it's like never mind. I'll bring it up when I can. It's just I hate that we cannot have anything come out without at least 50 red hats on Twitter going online and talking about how woke it is. Like it's an offense to have a show star someone other than a white man. And in fact, I decided to kind of do some numbering here or counting, excluding team up movies like Avengers and kind of stuff like that because it's hard to really determine the star of those since those are ensembles. Um, the MCU has around 49 projects. It was kind of a bit tricky. I might have forgotten a few. And 21, a little under half of those projects star white men. That's again nearly half. Now, the minority-based projects, that's around 12. Again, I could have miscounted, but those projects are lower than the 21 white-led projects. Again, I'm excluding team ups because that has everyone in them, and you guys get my point, right? Why is it such an offense to have a black person or a woman or just anyone else be the star of a movie? You don't see this kind of controversy about, say, Deadpool and Wolverine. Yet, Captain America came out this year and we have all these like grifting thumbnails. They look, regardless whether or not like the quality of the Thunderbolts, for example. Let's take that into example because I kind of been iffy on what to say about it. Thunderbolts, a movie I loved. I just think it's one of the best MCU movies we've had in a long time, and quite a bit. And we have Critical Drinker here making a grifting video about it, saying like how like that it is a disastrous flop when okay, it didn't do well at the box office. Fuck you guys for that, by the way. But if we go to the fucking Rotten Tomato scores or like you know we look it up, it has an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's like one of the highest MCU. 93 for critical scores. It's one of the best like performing movies recently, critically. A lot of people have loved this movie, but I know why Critical Drinker is like this because he also did this for Predator: Killer of Killers. It's because of its star, Yelena. Yelena, a woman, a Russian woman, and therefore, it's woke or whatever. And Predator, Killer of Killers, which by the way, I didn't do a review on. I kind of just wanted to watch that on myself. Good movie. I liked it a lot. Predator, Killer of Killers. That guy also made a video talking about it, and it's like you know why he's making this video. This is a movie that a lot of people like, but he dislikes it because it stars a Japanese guy. It stars a Viking woman who is standing up for herself against the Predator, and a Hispanic character. Three, like, I don't want to say the word minorities, but three people who aren't fucking white men. And that's such a big offense. Because, let me remind you, okay, my Prey review, some jackass on that, let me find it, some jackass on that commented, oh, more woke crap. Now, Prey was a movie that I loved. I loved Prey. I thought it was such a cool movie. But this bastard on here, commented, God, 2 years ago. This guy commented on it, more woke crap, and I decided to call him out. This is what I said. I said, nah, shut the fuck up. You saying it's woke because it has a female versus the Predator? I guess Alien was woke for having Ripley's fight a xenomorph. By the way, a lot of people want to use that Ellen Ripley approach, right? But Ripley from Alien, do not lie to yourselves. Do not lie here. If Alien was a like modern day movie and they introduced Ripley into it, y'all would call it woke. Y'all would fucking call it woke. Nintendo is hella woke for having Samus, I guess. Oh, what about Lara Croft, the main character of like one of the like classic '90s video game? Woke. Female characters aren't new to movies. They've been around for a long ass time. Is it woke because it's based off of Comanche tribes? I guess this is kind of where like I was a bit young, but I guess including different cultures is woke now. And to add on to that, it makes sense why they would have like a Native American tribe in this because in their culture, in Native American culture, hunting was a big part of it. What better idea than to put them up against a character whose entire thing was hunting? That's such a cool idea. There's no politics, no sexuality issues or anything like that. It's about a girl wanting to prove to the others that she could be a good hunter while also finding the predator. People who think that everything is woke now make me laugh. While I could have worded it better, I still agree with what I said there. These people that feels like that's the only thing that we can just look at when it comes to these things. And again, this is the state of film criticism, and I have yet to hear like any actual criticism of Ironheart that isn't fueled by blatant racism. And this is where it brings me back to that argument I had in the Marvels. Because of the majority of the discourse being hate and backlash being fueled by bigots and bigotry, when someone does genuinely dislike something, for example, I didn't like the Marvels that much. Why? I thought it was just, a whatever movie. Not because of Brie Larson, not because of Kamala, not Harris Khan, Kamala Khan, yeah, Kamala or Monica. I thought it was just alright, There was a forgettable villain. When someone does genuinely dislike the product for the wrong things it does within its story, then they get accused of being lumped in with the biggest, which is that's the issue. I'm gonna bring up a story here. My friend, my friend Mags. Hi Mags, if you're watching this. Her boyfriend talked about how he didn't like the She-Hulk show. This girl comes in and she's like, "You don't like it because it has a woman in it." When it's like, no, first of all, my friend Mags, a woman, also disliked the show because it was just simply shit. And she was just being super annoying about it. And it's things like that, we can't have civil discussions about it because on one hand you're gonna have those people who are gonna be like, oh, they made Iron Man woke, they made Iron Man black, when no, she's not Iron Man. But you're also having people being like, oh, you hate it because it's black because of the former person who was saying they made Iron Man black. You get what I'm saying there? You get my point? It's like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm going to bring this up as another example. That was a show that I disliked. Why? Okay, I'll say it. I'll say why I disliked it. I didn't like the villain of the story. I thought that they made Sam sympathize a bit too much with these terrorists. I also think that they just didn't do that much with Zemo. They had a dumbass twist. They really didn't do the message of a black man becoming Captain America that well, because that is something that I think should have been addressed more. Was this black guy essentially taking out the Uncle Sam of superheroes? That's a pretty big deal, but they didn't really do the best job handling that, and skipping over Bucky's conclusion to his arc, and just not being the most enjoyable show. I disliked that show because of those reasons, not because of its black lead, which I like. I like Sam Wilson in the MCU, and I have always. That's why Brave New World was such a disappointment to me, because I wanted to see that movie on the same quality as the Steve Rogers MCU films, because I think Sam Wilson deserved that. And like, I don't know. I really don't know what to say here. I could bring up so much more examples, like how Critical Drinker, I just saw my channel up here, a Minecraft movie. He was saying how, oh, we had to have that random diversity in there. You're complaining about diversity in the Minecraft movie, the movie where we're all gonna throw our popcorn as soon as Jack Black says chicken jockey. Get a grip. And then we got people like Tyrone Magnus, the definition of a parrot, going like, oh, they made X-Men woke. Hey, jackass, X-Men have always been woke since the beginning of the comics. That is the entire concept of discrimination against someone for being different. I could go on forever about this, and it's driving this review up to be 24 minutes. So that's just what I have to say. There, again, because of the majority of the discourse and hate and backlash being fueled by bigots and bigotry, when someone does genuinely dislike it for just not being a good show or whatever, they're accused of being the bigots who, let's be honest, do voice outvoice a majority of it, we can't critique anything right anymore. It has to be, oh, they made it political, when in turn, you're the one looking for the politics, and therefore you're the one who made it political. What about Ironheart is political? I don't see a scene of Riri and Parker sitting down at the table and just talking about the new bill that Donald Trump passed or whatever, or whatever President Ross is doing. I do want to see that though. That'd be pretty fun. Or whether or not immigrants should be allowed in America, or whether or not we should get free healthcare. The biggest point of the show was that she was making an Iron Man like suit, and that's another thing. People will lie about this show to make a point. Like two things. One, Riri killing a man, and that Tony wouldn't approve of it. All of this is just simply false. One, Riri never killed that man. He was attacking her, and she, in quotations, Riri, defended herself, leaving him to die in this poisonous room. And what I mean by she, I mean her suit powered by an AI that she wasn't controlling. If you had actually watched the show instead of, damn, she left him to die. Like, if you were to actually watch the fucking show, you would know that Natalie, the AI and best friend of Ree, said, I'm gonna get you out of here, and flew off with her. I bet you if it was up to Ree, she would have saved her, but Natalie got her out of there. And also, Tony Stark saying he wouldn't approve of this, do you guys just forget that not all superheroes are Batman? Not everyone has a no-kill rule. Iron Man has killed people in the MCU before. Terrorists. He's, like when I heard this critique about like Captain America also, Sam Wilson, some people were saying, oh, Captain America would never approve of killing. Well, like, guys, he walked in, he was in war. What do you do in war? Hey, you, Nazi, stop that. Respect your mom. Like, yeah, I do think that could, no, he'd probably fucking like throw a shield at them. Yeah. And Iron Man's killed before. So to say that he wouldn't approve of Riri acting in self-defense there, that's just simply false. And this line by Riri as well, saying that Tony Stark wouldn't be the man he was if he wasn't rich, isn't entirely false. People want to bring up the Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps, which by the way, I'm surprised that character became relevant in this. If you know, you know. When that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the fact that Tony was selling weapons. He was stuck in that cave because of the weapons that he was selling, therefore making him rich. And again, that suit was also just shit. Not in a design rise. It's a sick ass suit. I love the Mark 1, but it fell apart after Tony got out of the cave. It served its purpose. The Mark 2 and Mark 3 were built with resources Tony had because he was rich. Riri's point was that because he was a billionaire, he could explore his genius without limits. Riri doesn't have billions, and so she struggles to explore her genius, which is why her suit fell apart at the beginning, and why she struggles to find parts to join the gang, which leads her to join the gang. You guys are just making a bullshit rhetoric about this show and lying about it to fuel your hate and towards it. And look, listen, I'm just gonna say this right now. If you don't like this show, that's okay. If you genuinely just like watched all 6 episodes and decided I didn't really like it, that's okay. As long as you have genuine reasons as to why you dislike it. And again, I thought it was safe. I thought it was very safe, and I thought it was just okay. I'm not gonna lie and just use some unrelated nonsense about the show to lie about it, and it's tiring. It's tiring nonsense. A show that I had so little to say ended up being nearly 30 minutes. And okay, that depends. That actually depends. I might make that entire rant a separate video. Ironheart, if you want to watch a good series about it, I suggest Birdman's Exposing the Grift. He's a lot more fluid and has a lot cleaner arguments on things than I do. Ironheart was just alright. It can be entertaining at times. In the end, I felt not much from it. I'm walking away from this not really minding whatever happens with it. Season 2, whatever. Ironheart gets a sort of C plus, B minus. Yeah. Now, my next review should be Jurassic World. I'm probably gonna edit this video. Maybe it's 30 minutes actually. Or I actually and we're gonna see Jurassic World later today, so I'll probably have that review out probably at the same time. You know what? I'll just keep this video and then upload it at the same time as Jurassic World. That'd be fun. Um, yeah. Until then, love you guys 3000.